replacing damaged screens. It's not very difficult. You can save yourself a lot of money by doing it yourself. You don't need a lot. You need to buy a roll of screen material. Comes in aluminum and fiberglass. I prefer the fiberglass because it's easier to work with. It looks good too. You need to get one of these. It's a roller for the spline, for inserting that spline. These are like $3. Razor blade, and I'll use a screwdriver. So you start by pulling the old spline out. I've rebuilt quite a few screens, and you can reuse this, you know, like 95 times out of 100. And this particular spline is out of a fairly old screen. It's probably, this place was probably built in '85. After you get this out, save that for later. Now your screen will come out of the frame. So this frame is in pretty good shape. None of the corners are broke, so that's good. The corners can be repaired. This part that fell out is the tab to help remove the screen when it's installed in the window. So we'll just make sure we get that back in when we put the new screen in. Alright, so throw that away. Now all we do is roll out the new screen on top of the frame. On the side that the spline channel is in, there's a channel in here. This has got a couple of ends on it. One's convex, kind of curved out. One's concave, it's got a ridge in it. When I first start, I start with that ridge and place it on that spline. And then I just go a little bit at a time and push that spline in right through the screen. And that's what's going to hold it in the frame. When I get to the corner, take a little extra time and try to get that coaxed in there. Be careful not to poke a hole in your screen. So once you get that most of the way in there, we can move on. Now again, when you make your corner here, we want to make sure we got this screen laying flat and taut. You don't have to stretch it. The action of the spline going down into the channel will put tension on the screen. Now when I put the spline in, I typically just get it started and halfway in. And it'll kind of, there's a couple reasons for that, and we'll touch on those a little later. Now that tab there is held in by the same spline that holds the screen in. So now that tab's installed. Before I push this screen spline all the way in, I want to cut the screen off the frame. And you want to be careful not to cut the screen that you in your field. But what I found is if you don't really lay this blade flat, you lay it where it's just slightly up off the screen. You come in it from this direction and just follow the frame. The screen looks pretty good. There's a little bit of slack in it, but usually when we go ahead and finish putting our spline in, it's going to tighten it up a little bit more. And also, a lot of this edge that didn't get cut off perfectly kind of get buried into the channel. And for this part, I use the other end, the concave end. Now that screen's tightened up. It's just how you want it. Got a little bit of a fringe there. And that's it. You got a new screen.